all 200 members of the pool community simultaneously swiveled their heads to see my last video.
Were you up all night making that thing?
Nobody watch that.
He wrote a song about it.
We got a rap or something.
Allen Iverson was the babysitter.
So we move on.
Thought to burn me up before, just can't figure out how to automate it.
Time, Crystal, tell them what to do.
If my cryptic video opening didn't give it away, or the video title, this is how you automate the Just Dire time crystal block. First, you need a time crystal block, and in order to acquire one of them, you have to go to a budding amethyst. You put down shadow pulse goo next to it, and you feed this guy skulk, and that will convert this thing into a time crystal block, a budding time crystal block, putting a cardboard box on it, because if I try to break that, we will lose the block. There's nothing that you can do to break that thing and move it. You can move it with a create contraption. I'm using Mekanism cardboard box because we have it in the pack, and now I can relocate that to where I'm going to automate it. Now, one important thing to note before we talk about how to automate it here. Inside here is the budding time crystal block. Notice the blue particles that are going towards it. Right now, the block state is state 0. It charges in the overworld to a state 1. And then you have to ship it from the overworld to the nether. And then it'll charge to a stage 2 in the nether. And then you have to ship it from the nether to the end. And it will charge to a stage 3 in the end. Once it reaches a stage 3 charge, it will start to grow budding time crystal clusters. Or just called time crystal clusters, rather. Starts with a small, then it grows to a medium, and if there's a large on here, you'll see the large. There is a large right here. None of these can be broken. They have to remain attached to the budding time crystal block while you move it from dimension to dimension. Once it reaches its final state, which I can show you that right here, that's called a time crystal cluster. That's when you want to actually break the time crystal cluster. Now let's talk about how you can set this up to automate moving it from the overworld to the nether to the end. And I'm not going to go through the stages of setting it up because it's kind of boring to watch, because you have to do a lot of configuring on the machines. But here's the kit that you're going to need. You're going to need a ferrocore wrench. You're going to need 6 advanced swappers, and you're going to need 3 advanced sensors. Now, in order to break the time crystals, what I'm doing, you can do it with anything as long as you manage not bringing it in any of these states that are on the block. You only want to break it in the state that I showed. I'm using an advanced block breaker. So if I hit this render on, we can see where this thing is rendered. And it's up here on top of this. I'm going to expand this out because I'm going to add more time crystal blocks to get more budding crystals, because this thing is awfully slow without using AE2 or something to speed it up, right? So in here I have a pickaxe. I have an Eclipse alloy pickaxe. And the reason I chose this one is not because there's fortune or anything on it, because none of that works. It's because I can add this charm to it. This upgrade adds a teleport to that pickaxe. So if I had that pickaxe in my hand and I have it linked to any inventory, whatever I break goes into that inventory. But because this machine is going to use it, I have this pickaxe linked to this box out here. So whatever that pickaxe breaks, it automatically gets teleported into this drawer, and then my frog can shoot it out, and Bobby McGee can bring it over to where we need it later on down the line when I'm going to make Cheez Whiz. That's right, Cheez Whiz. And what's cool about this specific pickaxe is it charges on energy, meaning it'll never lose durability because this machine has power. So none of these enchants that are on it matter other than the efficiency one. And this doesn't need to be here. We're only focusing the time crystal cluster. So if you drag that over from JEI into this dude, boom, you got it. You put it on an allow list, it'll only break the time crystal cluster. The cool thing about these machines is you can move them 9 blocks to focus an area, up to 9 blocks in every direction, X, Y, and Z. Some people would say Z there. This one is the advanced sensor. This one is looking directly at the time crystal block itself, right? The budding time crystal block. And the reason it's focusing on that is because I have it pointed in this direction. So when this sees this thing, to get this here, you drag from JEI a budding time crystal block over to here. And then you right click it and you click on this and change this to stage 1. Because you want this to activate when it's at stage 1. Make sure it's set to allow list, target blocks, strong signal, and that's going to send a redstone signal to this guy, the advanced swapper. This dude, let's look at the render on this guy. He's taking that whole 3x3 area surrounding the time crystal block, right? And he's going to be activated by this advanced sensor when it hits stage 1. So this guy, same thing. It's targeting blocks and it's running on a high signal. Now, in order to link it to where I want it to go, you need the ferrocore wrench. You right click on this dude, and then you got to go all the way to wherever you're doing this in the Nether. And I'm going to take you there just so this hopefully makes sense the way I'm presenting this video. Because when I first set this up, when the Just Dire things came out, I was kind of confused by this. So in the Nether, I have power. I have ender cells, which are linked to my main power back where we just came from. If you don't know how to set one of these up, you tie this thing into your power source, your main power, and then what I like to do is I take a battery. So if I have the battery in my inventory, I have a niotic battery in the one back at home. You right click on the ender cell to open it, and then you shift click on the battery in your inventory, and that'll put it in the ender cell. And because there's one battery in here, I can hold 100 million FE. I believe if I added more batteries, it would double that, and so on and so forth. But now in the Nether, I have this is separated from this, right? It's not looking at anything. It's putting that block right there, the time crystal block. So I have the ferrocore wrench linked to my one back home, and then I come here and I right click on this dude and it links the two together. Boom, it puts it there. This guy's looking at this, and what's he looking for? He's looking for a stage 2. I apologize if you can't see this because of the way JEI works, but this is set to stage 2. Same thing, allow list, high signal, strong signal, boom, sends it to this dude. Same deal. Nothing in here, just on pulse, whatever. When it sees the block change, it activates this one, and then I right click this ferrocore wrench, and I tied it to the end. And in the end, I did the same exact thing. The only thing that I did different in the end was I set it to stage 3. So when it hits stage 3, it brings it back here to home. Because I wanted to get the crystals here, somewhere where I can access them easier than from the end. So once it hits stage 3, boom, it sends it right back here. And then this thing will die out eventually, and it will need to be recharged. It'll go through that same process on and on and on again until I get enough wibbly wobblies to make myself some Cheez Whiz.